This is Stuart Lloyd again from Lloyd of Gamebooks. This is a vlog that goes with part 9 of my How to Write a Gamebook series, where I talk about some gamebooks that I've written and comment about what I think went well, what didn't go so well, etc. This vlog is about City of the Dead, my 2009 Windhammer Competition entry. Before we move on, it's probably best that you read City of the Dead so you know what I'm talking about in the rest of the video. You can find it on the Chronicles of Arborell website, arborell.com, and then go to Windhammer, or you can find it from my blog where it says download some gamebooks for free. So, City of the Dead. I'll just have a bit of background. City of the Dead, it was very early on when I started writing gamebooks. I'd only written I've written 3 gamebooks. One was this 400 paragraph War of Deities Part 1, which you can download for free. That was my first one. The other one was the Triad of Skulls, which is my 2008 Windhammer Competition entry. And the other one was the Total Car Crash of Shadowcaster, which I don't really talk about because the paragraphs tell you to go the wrong places in some places, and it was a very big epic book that I seriously messed up. I'll talk about that though in another vlog. However, City of the Dead. So, I've been told in Triad of Skulls that my description was a bit minimalistic, the path was quite linear, and there were lots of mistakes. I'm not making a vlog about Triad of Skulls because if you read Triad of Skulls from the free game books, you can see some comments that I've written along with it. So I tried to take that on board and do better with City of the Dead. Did I do better? I think I did. I've got some stuff written here by Per Jorner. He wrote this on the Gamebooks Yahoo group, and I think he summed this up pretty well, so I'm reading what he's written because I think it's pretty good, and I'll add in what I think. So, City of the Dead story. This is what Per Jorner written. The setting reveals itself to be a post-apocalyptic world where your civilization is reduced to some form of barbarianism. You are sent to find a book of knowledge in a lost city of the old folks. Will this knowledge help your people into a new era? Or is it, dun dun dun, a trap? Well, it is a trap. Yes, it is. So, yeah, the background is the druid of your village has said that he's discovered a city, an ancient city full of lost knowledge and technology and magic, and it will get you out of the sort of very primitive situation that you're all living in. And it is a trap because the book turns out that your druid's been possessed by a demon, and the demon wants the book to get free and wreak havoc in your world. Well, there you go. Life sucks. So, Per Jorner's also written in a logical inconsistency, so now I'm trying very hard to get rid of these. The character finds it hard to believe there is something of interest up in the mountains, since those who went in that direction, few have returned, and those few refused to speak of what they saw. And he's written, and I suppose is why you're a barbarian. So yes, Per, yes, I need to work on my logical inconsistencies. I made a really bad one in Triad of Skulls as well, where you're carrying three fugitives back alive, and you still get the money if you kill them. So I should have just had to kill them to start with. But there we go. Right, this is where we move on to the problem with City of the Dead, and I'll tell you what I was thinking when I wrote it. System and mechanics. You assign, this is Per Jorner, you assign points to 5 stats and then derive no less than 8 secondary stats. You also pick 2 skills from a list of 5. There are rules for physical and mental combat. One thing that isn't entirely clear is whether you should roll for initiative before each round. I rolled once and then alternated. Yes. I'll just clear that up. You should roll for initiative once at the beginning of combat, and that's who fights at the beginning of each round. There's also a fixed starting inventory, weapon and armour lists, and 2 currencies. The lists are rather pointless since most of the items don't appear in the adventure, and everything you find comes with a number of its own anyway. That's correct. In all, the rules take up about 1/3 of the whole adventure. They are, however, easy enough to use. Yes, bearing in mind that this is a 97 paragraph game book, I wrote loads of rules, and I'll tell you what I was thinking when I did it. I wanted to create a fair, balanced and comprehensive rule system, and make sure that the book was extremely fair. There were no arbitrary deaths, and the rolls, well, you didn't have any impossible rolls to make. And in doing that, I sacrificed pretty much everything else. Logical consistency, as we've mentioned, the story, proofreading, the fact that the actual scenario doesn't really relate to it being like a City of the Dead, and the fact that it doesn't seem like you know much what's going on anyway. So I think that this system was a bit too much for a 97 paragraph game book. I included, as Per has said, I included things that weren't even in the book. So for example, there is an armour list in there, and I've given a value for plate mail armour, but you can't get plate mail armour. I just wanted to include that to show I'd created a comprehensive system. So if I did it again, I'd bear in mind the length of the book, the fact that it's a game book, and I wouldn't focus so much on trying to create fair dice rolls, because there's a lot more to game books than trying to create a fair system. I think I was working too hard, thinking about sort of all the unfair, impossible game books that there were, and trying not to be like them. Okay, things like Crypt of the Sorcerer and Spellbreaker, things like that. But there we go. So we'll move back to what Per says. Needs more proofreading. Yeah, I sacrificed that for the sake of the system. He says it's a step up from the Triad of Skulls with longer and fuller descriptions. So I have improved. There are still some places where proceedings are summed up briefly with little flavour, such as the high-tech city, which should be milked for some atmosphere, where you pick your way through the ruins. Okay, on occasion the wording conjures up an odd image. So yes, I did have this lovely image of the City of the Dead being some kind of futuristic place, sort of where, well, it involves robots, and sort of maybe a steampunk place. So a steampunk place with an evil magical aura around it that animates dead bodies and mutates animals into wild, ravenous abominations. Unfortunately, due to me trying to create a great game system that took up a lot of the page limit, and for some reason taking out all the encounters that related it to being like City of the Dead and leaving in things like a journey to get there and normal animals, it doesn't come across as an ancient, well, a city full of lost technology and an evil magical aura, you know, undead and wild abominations. Looking back on it, I could have taken out the journey to the city as part of the game book. I could have put that in the background, so you spend more time in the city, feeling the aura, and coming across undead, nasty abominations, and a sense of evil, and lots of horrible things that will drain your willpower, and more robots as well. But I didn't. So Per is right. I should have milked this image, magnificent image I had in my head. I should have. I was obviously not very good at translating that to the page. He says the technological level of barbarians is slightly unclear. I don't. The main character doesn't consider metalworking particularly noteworthy, but he can seemingly not conceive of brick burning, which was a historical inaccuracy on my point, because brick burning was discovered thousands of years ago. And Per rightly says the name of the adventure feels a bit off, as Pentagon isn't really characterised by the dead more than any other ruined city, and parts of it are even inhabited. Yes, there are barbarians living there. So basically, I should have taken out all the bits I put in and put in all the bits I took out. Because if he was going by my image, then the barbarians who lived there should have been mutated or corrupted in some way. It's in terms of mechanics, the only thing I aimed at and sacrificed everything else for. When Per did it, he won on his first go with only one willpower left. So I think it's. I think I managed to balance it fairly well. Although when I thought about it, I think I overpowered the hunting skill, because if you play it, you'll find that hunting means you can sneak up and ambush the animals and get quite a good advantage in combat. I underpowered the herblore skill, because I think about the only it sort of helps with a difficulty roll, and it helps you get something little herb that you can use to reduce your opponent's combat skill in combat, but that's about it. And so I think my system went fairly well. It was just an inappropriate system to use, and I sacrificed everything else that makes a good game book for the system. The storyline, the descriptions, the logical consistency, the proofreading, just about everything else. So on the whole, I consider City of the Dead a bit of a failure, but I'm glad that I did it because I learnt even more from it, and then I went on to make Sharkbait's Revenge, which won the Windhammer Competition, so obviously I learnt from it. So thanks very much. So this is Stuart Lloyd saying goodbye. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.